So, dear students, today I am going to discuss with you all chapter number 3, drainage, from the book India Physical Environment. And in this chapter, we are going to discuss about the drainage system of our country. We are going to learn about the different types of drainage pattern. We are going to learn about the different Himalayan rivers, the different peninsular rivers and all. Okay. So let us start with this chapter, drainage. So before we go for the main discussion, we must know about some of the important terms which are related to the drainage chapter. Okay. So those terms are like some of the introductory terms are like river system, okay, and the drainage system, drainage basins and all. See. So what does the term drainage means? The name of the chapter is drainage. So what do we mean by the term drainage? See. The term drainage, okay, drainage is referred to as the river system of an area. Drainage is basically referred to the river system of a particular area, okay, and the river along with its tributaries, okay, is known as the, okay, a river along with its tributaries is called a river system. So what is drainage? Drainage is actually the river system of a particular area. And what is river system? River system means the main river along with its tributaries, okay, the main river along with its tributaries, it forms the river system. And two more terms are there which we need to know, that is the drainage basin and water divide. Okay, so what is drainage basin and what is water divide, that I am going to explain you now. See, drainage basin. Drainage basin basically refers to a particular geographical area which is drained by a single large river and its tributaries. So here you can see in this first image, okay, that two streams, okay, two rivers are flowing from two different directions. So one is flowing from one hand side, another one is flowing from one end. So the left hand side you can see that the particular area, is getting water from the one stream, okay, and this right hand side, okay, it is getting water from another stream. So these two rivers, okay, they are supplying water to two different areas actually, okay. So that particular area which is drained by a single river, okay, the particular area which is getting water from a single river is known as the drainage basin, okay. And here you see that the drainage basin of these two rivers, it is separated from each other by an uplifted area, okay, by an uplifted area, and this uplifted area is known as the water divide. Okay, so water divide is an uplifted area, okay, it is an upland which separates two drainage basins. So these two terms are very much important to understand about the river system of any particular area. Okay, so what does the term drainage means? Drainage basically refers to the river system of a particular area. And what does the term river system mean? River system basically refers to, okay, the river and its tributaries, okay, the river and its tributaries, they form the river system. And what is drainage basin? Drainage basin is the area which is drained by a single river system, okay, that is the main river and its tributaries, they supply water to a particular geographical area, okay, and that particular geographical area is known as the drainage basin. And what is water divide? Water divide is an elevated area, or it is an upland area, okay, which separates two drainage basins. Just for example, in case of our country, you will notice that the drainage basin of the river Indus and the Ganga, okay, they are separated from each other by an uplifted area, okay, that is Ambala. In Ambala, okay, an uplifted area is there which separates the Indus drainage basin and the Ganga drainage basin. So it is considered as a water divide. Okay. So these are the few important terms related to the drainage chapter which is very much essential, okay, and which is very much important actually. So you must know about these terms. Now let us proceed to the main discussion. So what you are observing here is that the main river is flowing, okay, from the source to the sea, and in between the river is joined by many tributaries, okay, in between it is joined by many tributaries. Tributary and distributary. What does the term tributary and distributary mean? See, tributary means when the main river is joined by some small streams or by some other rivers, okay, they are known as the tributary of the main river. And sometimes what happens, the main river, it gets separated, the main river, it gets divided into different branches, and they are known as the distributary. Okay, So these are the this is the meaning of the term tributary and the distributary actually. Okay, so you will see here that okay, the rivers, okay, the rivers when they flow, okay, they flow like the main river, it is flowing, okay, and many small tributaries, okay, they join the main river, okay, at different places, okay, at different angles and all. So depending upon that, the rivers, they form a certain pattern. Okay, the rivers, they form a certain pattern, and this pattern of the rivers are known as the drainage pattern. Okay, the river, the main river along with their tributaries, they form a certain pattern, okay, and these patterns are known as the drainage pattern. So there are basically 4 different types of drainage pattern, and we will be studying about these 4 different types of drainage patterns. So what is drainage pattern actually? There are patterns which depend upon slope of the land, okay, that is the rock structure underneath as well as the climate. Okay, so depending upon the nature of the rock, okay, depending upon the climatic conditions, okay, and other physical aspects, the river along with their tributaries, they form certain patterns, okay, they form certain shape you can say, okay, which are known as the drainage pattern. So these drainage patterns has mainly been divided, okay, it has mainly been subdivided into 4 different types, or you can say 4 different types of drainage patterns has been identified. That is the dendritic drainage pattern, the rectangular drainage pattern, the trellis drainage pattern, and the radial drainage pattern. Okay. These are the 4 different types of drainage pattern: dendritic, radial, dendritic, rectangular, trellis, and radial drainage pattern. Now you may have a question that what is dendritic drainage pattern, or what do we mean by the rectangular drainage pattern, or what does the term trellis and the radial drainage pattern mean? Okay, so let us study about this drainage pattern. Okay. So before I proceed to the drainage pattern, once again I want to show you here that in this picture you can see the second picture, okay, the picture which is at the here, okay, which is showing the drainage divide, interflow, tributary system and all. Here you see that the main river is flowing, okay, towards the ocean, and it is joined by many rivers, okay, and it is forming a different shape actually. Okay, so these different shapes are actually the drainage pattern. Okay, so 4 different types of drainage patterns are there, that is the dendritic, rectangular, trellis, and the radial. So what is dendritic drainage pattern? Dendritic drainage pattern means when the river channel, they follows the slope of the terrain, okay, that means when they follow the slope of the land, tributaries along with the stream, they resemble the branches of a tree, and for this it gets its name dendritic. Okay, so what is dendritic drainage pattern? When the main river, okay, when the main river it flows and many number of small rivers or the tributaries, it joins the main river, and okay, it seems like the branches of a tree. Okay, the main river and its tributaries, it resemble like the branches of a tree. Okay, so those kind of pattern which is being formed by the river and its tributaries are known as the dendritic drainage pattern. See, so river channels, they follows the slope of the terrain, and the tributaries along with the stream resemble the branches of a tree, okay, and they are known as the dendritic drainage pattern. Rectangular drainage pattern takes place when the main river, okay, when the main river is joined by the tributary at approximately at right angle. Okay, suppose the main river is flowing and the tributary, it is joining the main river, okay, and at that place, okay, it is forming an almost 90-degree angle, almost a right angle. So that type of drainage patterns are known as the rectangular drainage pattern. See, a river joined by the tributaries at approximately right angles, okay, they are known as the rectangular drainage pattern. Trellis drainage pattern developed on the strongly jointed rocky terrain. Hard and soft rocks are arranged parallel to each other. Okay, and trellis drainage pattern basically takes place, okay, formed in the hard rock areas, okay, where the hard rocks are found, hard and soft rocks are found parallel to each other. In those areas we can find the trellis drainage pattern. Okay, and the radial drainage pattern. The radial drainage pattern, okay, in this radial drainage pattern what happens, the river, okay, it originates from a uplifted area, from a hilly like area, okay, like a dome like structure, and it flows in different direction. Okay, so you can see you can say that when the main river and its tributaries or the distributaries, okay, they flow in different direction, okay, because of the dome like structure of the land, they form the radial drainage pattern. See, some streams, they flow in different directions, form a central peak or the dome like structure, and they resemble the radial drainage pattern. Okay, so there are basically 4 different types of drainage pattern, that is the dendritic drainage pattern, the rectangular drainage pattern, the trellis drainage pattern, and the radial drainage pattern. These are the 4 important types of drainage pattern. So here are the images. Okay, these images, it shows the types of the drainage pattern. So the first image, you can see that it is resembling like the branches of a tree. Okay, it is resembling like the branches of a tree, and it is known as the dendritic drainage pattern. Okay, and the next picture, in the next picture you can see that the main river is joined by the tributaries at right angle. Okay, they are joined by the tributaries almost at right angle. Okay, and they form the rectangular drainage pattern. Okay, and then you can see here that like a dome like structure is there, and because of this dome like structure, the river is flowing in different directions. Okay, it is the radial drainage pattern. And here you can see, okay, here is actually the trellis drainage pattern. Okay, and this type of trellis drainage pattern, okay, they can be found in the areas of hard and soft rock. Okay, the areas where the presence of both the hard and the soft rocks are there, in those areas we can find the presence of such kind of trellis drainage pattern. Okay. So this is what about the different types of drainage patterns which are being formed by the rivers. Okay, which are being formed by the rivers when they flow. Okay. So we came to know about the term drainage. What does the term drainage mean? We also came to know about the term drainage basin, water divide, river system, as well as we also discussed about the different types of drainage pattern. Now see. Now the next one. Okay. So these rivers, okay, the rivers when they flow actually, they form different features. Okay, when the rivers they flow, they form different types of features, and these features can be the erosional features or it can be the depositional features. Okay, erosional features means when the river it causes lot of erosional activity, okay, they form certain types of landforms, and those type of landforms are known as the erosional landforms. And because of the erosional activity, okay, the river they carry along with them the sand and the silt, the sediments are being carried by the river, and these sediments they get deposited in the low lying areas. Okay, and certain types of land features are being formed. So these certain types of land features which are being formed by the deposition of the river, okay, by the depositional work of the river, are known as the depositional landforms. Okay, so here you can see a picture, and this picture basically shows the different types of depositional landforms, okay, which are being formed by the river. So when the river is flowing, okay, they carry along with them the sediments and all. So because of carrying the sediments and all, okay, the river they deposit the sediments on the bed of the river, okay, and the river they cannot move in a straight direction. Okay, so what they do is they change their direction. Okay, they move in a S-like pattern, zigzag pattern. So this S-like pattern, when the river it flows like in a S-like pattern, it forms, okay, the meandering shape actually. Okay, they form the meanders, and sometimes the rivers actually while flowing like S-like pattern, suppose the river was flowing like this way, at the last you can see here it was flowing like a S-like pattern, but later on it changes course and it started flowing in different direction. So here you can see that a circular type portion has been formed, okay, which leads to the form of the oxbow lake. So this part may get detached at a later period of time, and it will lead to the formation of the oxbow lake. Okay, so different types of depositional landforms are formed by the river, like the floodplains, the deltas, the oxbow lakes, the meanders, and also, okay, different types of landforms are being formed when the rivers they deposit the sediments, okay, in the plain areas. So the entire course of the river, okay, the entire course of the river can mainly be divided into 3 sections. Like you can see here, like where it is written the river source. Okay, so from here actually the river is originating from the high Himalayan areas, mountain areas. The river originates, it flows, okay, and it finally drains the water in the oceans. So the entire length of the river, okay, the entire path of the river has been divided into three sections. Okay, that is the upper course, the middle course, and the lower course. So in these three different courses, the river they carry out with various activities. Okay, they carry out with various erosional and the depositional activities and also. Upper course. Upper course basically refers to the high altitudinal areas. Okay, upper course basically refers to the higher mountain areas. Okay, when the river flows from the higher mountain areas, that is known as the upper course. So basically in the upper course, okay, the river they cause much erosional activity. Why? Because the water of the river it flows at a very faster speed. Okay, and it causes much erosional activity. Okay, it leads to the formation of the valleys, it leads to the formations of the gorges, the waterfalls and all. Okay, and in the middle course, when the river it enters the foothills of the Himalayas, okay, when it enters the foothills region, actually foothills of the mountains and the plain areas, okay, then it is known as the middle course. So in the middle course, when the river it enters the middle course, the flow of the water reduces, the velocity of the water reduces, and it cannot carry along with them the heavy materials and the sediments. Okay, the heavy materials and the sediments cannot be carried further away by the rivers. Okay, so these heavy materials and the sediments it starts getting deposited in the middle course, and because of which, okay, the rivers it flows in a S-like pattern, meandering shape takes place. Okay, even it leads to the formation of some marshy areas. Okay, even the oxbow lakes are also formed sometimes. Okay, and at the last stage, okay, when the river enters the it moves into the further plain areas, okay, before joining the ocean, that area is known as the lower course. Okay, so lower course basically refers to the part of the river, okay, when it is about to join the ocean, that is the lower course. So in the lower course, actually this lower course basically include the plain areas. Okay, in the lower course, the river, okay, it causes much depositional activity. The river, okay, it causes flood, and because of the flood, okay, the sediments get deposited on the river banks and also. Okay, and the flood plains has been formed, the meanders has been formed, the oxbow lake has been formed, and finally when the river it joins the ocean, okay, finally when the river it joins the ocean, the river they deposit all the fine sediments. Okay, the fine sediments which has been carried by the river from the upper course to the middle course and from the middle to the lower course, they all get deposited at the mouth of the river. Okay, mouth of the river means where the river joined the ocean. So in this mouth of the river, because of the deposition of the fine sediments and all, the deltas are formed, the estuaries are formed. Okay, so what are these deltas actually? The deltas are actually the marshy areas, okay, the swampy areas which has been formed because of the deposition of the sediments brought down by the river. Okay, just take an example, the Sundarban Delta. Okay, the Sundarban Delta is an example of the delta. Okay, the delta has been formed by the Godavari river, the Mahanadi river and all. Okay, in the coastal areas. So this is what about the river, okay, the drainage system actually. So till here we came to know about the different patterns which are being formed by the river and about the different course of the river. You can say the different stages of the river. Okay, so there are three main stages of the river, that is the upper course, the middle course and the lower course. Okay, any river which originates in the Himalayan areas, which originates in the mountain areas and all, okay, they have to pass through these three courses. Okay, okay. Basically when they are in the higher areas, okay, it is the upper course. When they enter the foothill areas, it is the middle course, and when they enter the plain areas, further plain areas, it is the lower course. So in our country, different types of relief features are there. Okay, like we have discussed earlier also about the physical features of our country, and we came to know that different types of relief features are there, like the mountains, plateaus, plains, and okay. So depending upon the physical structure of our country, okay, the river system of our country can mainly be classified into two different categories. That is the Himalayan river system and the peninsular river system. Okay. So what are this Himalayan river system and peninsular river system? The Himalayan river system basically refers to the rivers which originate from the Himalayas. Okay, the river which originates from the high Himalayan region, okay, they form the Himalayan river systems, and the rivers which originate from the peninsular plateau region, they form the peninsular river system. Okay. So this Himalayan river system and the peninsular river systems, they are different from each other in many ways. Okay, like the basic difference is that the place of origin. Okay, the Himalayan rivers, they originate from the Himalayas, and the peninsular rivers, it originates from the peninsular plateau region. Okay, this is the main difference. But apart from this, there are also various differences between the Himalayan river system and the peninsular river system. Okay, so now I am going to provide you information about some basic differences between these Himalayan rivers and the peninsular rivers. The Himalayan rivers, they originate from the glaciers. Okay, they originate from the melting of the snow and all. Okay, and whereas the peninsular rivers, they originate from the plateau region. Okay, so the Himalayan rivers, they have a continuous supply of water throughout the year. Why? As because they originate from the high mountain areas, they get water from the melting of the snow and the glaciers, as well as from rainfall. And the peninsular rivers, they originate from the plateau region. Okay, so they get very less amount of rainfall. Okay, they are not perennial, they are the seasonal. Why? Because they are dependent only on the rainfall. Okay. The Himalayan rivers, they have a very large catchment area. Okay, catchment area means the area from where the river, it collects its water. Okay, so the Himalayan rivers, it collects its water from a very large area, from a very large catchment area. Okay, but whereas the peninsular rivers, they collect water from a very small catchment area. They have a very small catchment area. The Himalayan rivers are mainly engaged in erosional activities. Okay, the Himalayan rivers, they cause much erosional activity, and the peninsular rivers, they also cause erosional activity, but not so large erosional activity like the Himalayan rivers. Okay. The Himalayan rivers are mainly useful in irrigation purpose. Okay, it is mainly used for supplying water to the agricultural fields and all. Okay, why? Because it has a continuous supply of water throughout the year. But the peninsular rivers, they are not much useful for irrigation purpose. Okay, because during the dry season, the peninsular rivers, they has a very less supply of water. Okay, and the demand of water, okay, is high during the dry season only. So during the dry season, the peninsular rivers, they are not able to supply enough water to the agricultural fields. Okay, so they are not much useful for carrying out the agricultural purpose. Okay, and as I said to you that the Himalayan rivers are perennial. Okay, that means they have a continuous supply of river, and the peninsular rivers are non-perennial. That means they are the seasonal. Okay. Some of the examples of the Himalayan rivers are the Indus, Ganga, and the Brahmaputra. And some of the examples of the peninsular rivers are the Mahanadi, the Godavari, the Krishna, the Kaveri, the Narmada, and the Tapi. Okay. Another important difference between this Himalayan and the peninsular river is that the Himalayan rivers, they have many number of tributaries. Okay, many number of small rivers, they join the main Himalayan rivers. Okay, they have many tributaries. But whereas the peninsular rivers, they have a very less number of tributaries. Okay, the number of tributaries are very less in case of the peninsular rivers. In case of the Himalayan rivers, they travel for a long distance. Like from the place of origin, okay, from the place of source to the mouth, the Himalayan rivers, they travel for a long distance. Like the Indus river, it flows for around 2,900 kilometers. Okay, entire course. The Ganga river, it flows for around 2,525 kilometers only in our country. Okay, so these rivers, they have a very long course. They flow for a very longer distance. But whereas the peninsular rivers, they flow for a shorter distance. Okay, they have a very shorter course. Okay, they does not have a longer course like the Himalayan rivers. So this is what about the differences between the Himalayan and the peninsular rivers. Okay, or you can also say these are the characteristics of the Himalayan and the peninsular rivers. Okay, so we came to know about the introductory part of this chapter, drainage. Okay, so we came to know about the term drainage, different types of drainage pattern. Okay, as well as we came to know about the Himalayan and the peninsular rivers. So in our next class, we will be discussing about the major Himalayan rivers, that is the Indus, Ganga, and the Brahmaputra. Okay, like from where does the river Indus originate, different characteristics of the Indus river, the Ganga and the Brahmaputra, as well as we will be discussing about the major peninsular rivers like the Narmada, Godavari, Krishna, Kaveri, Mahanadi, etc. So this is what about today's class. Okay, and I have discussed you about the introductory part to the drainage system, to the drainage chapter of our country, the drainage system of our country.